Here we are once again, remnants out there. Thank you so much. Here we are live. Sensitive topic. I'm nervous. Can I just tell y'all that I'm nervous? I have to admit that right now, because this is a topic that is very, very sensitive. I know people that are actually, dealing with loved ones that are, practicing this topic. So it touched me so much that I had to, really talk about it. And I thank you for joining me. Let me go ahead and introduce this wonderful, wonderful individual. Okay, she is a mother, she is a wife, she is a counselor. She is a friend. Oh my God, did I leave anything else out? She is a woman of God. What else? Girl, I could go on and on. Did I leave anything out?
It's not important.
It's not important.
Not important.
There we go. Okay. She is also the founder and clinician at GrowTherapy LLC here in New Jersey, Wanacue, New Jersey, to be exact. She is someone that is skilled with many techniques that alongside a heart of compassion. Can't forget that, especially in the field that she's in, licensed social worker, okay? Along with the skills and the heart of compassion, she delivers individually tailored treatment plans to her clients, okay, to a broad spectrum of clients. Okay, this woman, oh, I forgot to mention, she's a boss, okay? She knows what she knows and she does what she does, okay? And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to Ayana DaSilva.
Dr. Nora. Dr. Nora, thank you so much for having me.
I thank you for joining in. Please go ahead, take this opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself. Like how I'm interested in finding out, like, how did you, like, what led you to this career choice?
Okay, so that's been a journey, and I'm enjoying still learning and growing in this process. It's an ongoing process, but it all started when I was little. I knew I wanted to help people, and I just didn't know how. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician, but when I went to my own, I said, no, you make me cry, you give me needles, I don't want to do this to kids. But growing up, I had an amazing role model, my mother,
Nice.
Lisa Chavis. Hi, mommy, if you're there. She was the model of a social worker to me. She was always taking people in, whether I knew it or not. People were coming to my house and sleeping in my bed because they didn't have a place to go. And so I always saw that example. And going to church, it was what the ministry that we were a part of and grew up in. We were always giving back and helping people. So I just knew, and I loved the way it felt to be so helpful, like feeling the compassion so passionately is what kind of drives me. So I went to college and I started, I went to Rider University, shout out to Rider. And I was a sociology major, kind of started there, and I started learning, and through my process there, I learned so much about just who I am as a person. Spent a lot of time doing a lot of self-reflection and just really, and of course, seeking God on what do you want to do with this vessel? What do you want to do with me? And so the opportunity came, and then I took a few classes at Rutgers for the MSW program, and I really enjoyed it. And then I went full-time to Kane University. Just to kind of give the academic background, but I started with, when I finished my last year at Kane, I started interning in residential treatment.
Okay.
So I was working with children between the ages of 5 to 11 at that time. And so thank God it was an internship experience, because it was so emotionally charged for me to see these Black and brown kids that didn't have places to go for whatever reason. They could no longer stay with their families, or they were working through reunifying the kids with their families. And so I took that very personally. And I wondered, why doesn't anybody want our children, And so that kind of got that spark going for me, that I want to do something. I want to do something more. And so I started out in residential, and then I transitioned into outpatient treatment. And then from there, I knew that I didn't want to be limited by insurance and, all the red tape that goes into, diagnostically how much you can or cannot help somebody. So I really started seeking God on how can I do this in a way that is integral, and that really honors the person and really gives them the time and space and environment that they need to heal and to grow. And so as I started seeking God on it, GrowTherapy came. And then I talked to my husband about it. And he's always been very supportive of things I want to do in my career. So he's like, you got to do it. I'm like, no, maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, no, don't figure it out. And so just praying along the way and trying and falling and messing up and, making mistakes. But through all that, like, it's given me an experience that of learning that nobody could take away from me, that I lived it. I lived it and I experienced it in a very real way. I started it in my home on the second floor. I had 2 kids downstairs with the babysitter, hoping they would stay quiet so that I could, help these clients, just kind of getting it off the ground. And then it grew within the first 3 years. And then I got pregnant with our 3rd child, and we needed the space in the house. I was fortunate to get some space. That's when we started in Montclair. Okay. And then from there, it's just been growing ever since. So here I am. I actually just celebrated 7 years last weekend. So thank God. Thank God. 7 years. So yeah, and still running. So, and I still feel just as motivated, just as excited today. So I'm thankful.
Well, we thank God for that. There's that's very important. To follow your passion. If no one gets anything out of, well, no, you're going to get some things out of what she says, but, just from what she says so far, which will also be another conversation. Okay. I hope you'll be joining us, Ayana, as well. But follow your passion. That is a key towards finding out what it is you were created for. Many people are experiencing a lot of things out here in the world that we need you to tap into your purpose in order to, help become a helping hand towards healing, the world. All right. I don't want to start preaching.
All right, doctor. Come on now.
So let's go ahead into the conversation of self-harm, Ayana.
And can I just say, thank you for having this conversation, right? And that while it is a heavy conversation to have, it's needful, and we can address this. This issue can be resolved. People can receive treatment, can receive help, and it's possible. So I think if we could normalize these conversations a little more, it wouldn't be such a hard thing to talk about. But, we may laugh. During the conversation, we may say things that strike a chord. Some of the information is very raw and in your face, and it has to be because of, the danger that it could present to the individual that we're talking about. But I just want people to know that even though it might seem like, we're kind of girlfriends having a conversation, I think it models that we could have these conversations at the dinner table. We can have these conversations at our churches. And that we can get through this together.
That's right. And that is what this platform, this conversation is for today. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the topic. Please, Ayana, can you enlighten us on what self-harm is?
Okay. So self-harm, which is also referred to at times as self-injury, what we use clinically mainly is it's non-suicidal self-injury. So, and I know that we may talk a little bit about suicide, but this is where this occurs with someone who is intentionally and repeatedly trying to harm themselves in a way that's very impulsive, but it's not intended to be lethal. Okay. So while it seems that it's kind of on the cusp of suicide, typically the individuals who's engaging in this behavior is not intending to kill themselves. So I just want to make that comment there. So most common methods of self-harm are, as people are probably more familiar with, the cutting, right? That's about 70 to 90% of the population of people who do self-injure. Head banging, hitting is about 21 to 44% of that population. And burning is about 15 to 35%. But some other forms that you may not see, right, is that people are injecting objects into their body openings. You have people who are drinking harmful fluids like bleach and detergent. No, people, we do not ingest bleach or detergent. It is harmful, right. Breaking bones purposefully, punching themselves or objects, excessive scratching, to the point of just drawing blood. That's kind of a sense of what you would see in different ways that people harm themselves.
Wow. So the key word when you define self-harm that sticks out to me is that the person that is doing this is doing it intentionally. Like they know what they're doing, right? Okay. Those things tend to leave scars that we can see, right? My question, what I'm wondering is, like, what are those internal scars, like, or what are those factors that may be going on within a person that practices self-harm? Like, is it a genetic thing? Is it a result of trauma? Is it a media influencing thing? Like, what are those factors that could possibly lead someone to self-harm?
So what you don't see and what we try to explore more psychologically, right, in treatment is what is at the root of this self-harm. So quite often, the following reasons might be that, and something that is important to note from the outset is that this is always a coping strategy to the individual. So they're trying to cope with the internal turmoil that they're feeling. And not having the proper tools to know how to cope in healthier ways leaves the individual. We're talking largely, this happens amongst the population of individuals between the ages of 10 and 26.
Oh, that young?
So, yeah. And that is the time where developmentally our frontal lobe, where our executive functioning is developing, it's still developing. So we're not making the best choices. Right. Gotcha. So that's already a tricky time because of just developmentally where the brain is. But so quite often this is a strategy. This is my attempt to deal with some internal turmoil. They're trying to seek relief from negative thoughts, feelings, largely depression and anxieties associated with the internal feeling that causes the behavior. And they're trying to, quite honestly, at times try to resolve interpersonal difficulty. And this is kind of where, in my school of thought that it stems from, it's self-harm largely being related to poor attachment in childhood.
Okay. So when you say poor attachment, what can you go a little deeper in that? Like, what exactly is that? Or maybe you can define it.
Sure. So when we're born into the world, our primary task is to connect.
Gotcha.
Is to attach. And so you're a mother, and you kind of have a sense, or anyone who's ever been involved with raising a child from infancy, you know that there's a level of closeness that's required for that child to feel safe and secure, basic needs being met, that they know that they can rely on those in their environments. The people who are external outside of them give them their needs, meet their needs and take care of them in satisfactory ways. And from that model, they learn how to self-soothe. They learn how to comfort themselves. They know how to go the route of self-care versus self-harm.
Okay.
So they're learning care from close and strong attachments. That's why part of the work I do in my practice is infant massage.
Okay.
And I work with mothers or fathers, caregivers, guardians, grandmas. I got a lot of grandmas. I work with my mom in a homeless facility with teen parents, moms and dads, just trying to attach amidst the stress of life, just what our jobs can, do to us and putting a toll on us, not having the finances to make ends meet, and just how that all gets in the way with our abilities to connect with one another, and particularly our children. And so if you experience that lack of attachment, over and over, it's things that we learn interpersonally to know how to take care of ourselves. And when we're not getting that, we don't have it. It doesn't just happen. It's a learning. It's an experience that one has to have to learn and to grow and to take care of themselves. So the poor attachment is largely related to not having models or figures in one's life as a child, even from infancy, to just provide that safe, holding, caring, loving, supportive environment. So you largely will see, and it's I have to say it's pretty much been the case in my experience in working with individuals who do engage in self-harm, that there's always some traumatic history we can get into, growing up with a parent who has untreated mental illness or substance abuse histories, largely people who are born out of substance abuse, and what that does to them from a sensory perspective, and how they need to sometimes cut to give that input to feel something. A lot of times there's that numbness, and so they want to feel, or they want to relieve the intensity of the feeling. So, but that's kind of the gist of having. That's why we want to focus on, whenever I'm working with individuals, it's who's in your support system. Outside of talking, if it's grandma, if it's auntie, if it's a pastor, if it's a priest, whoever it is, if it's the cafeteria lady, who is somebody who's consistent in your life that can be supportive to you, so that even though we may not experience the attachment we need, from the families that we were born into, but we can create those attachments outside of that. So that's why I'm motivated to keep doing the work, even though sometimes it is emotionally taxing on me. But I know that there's hope, that if we can be that village for people, that they can be successful and they can overcome this.
And it goes for adults as well.
Yes. Yes.
Because I feel the need, like based on what you just said, like what was coming to my mind was how, having mentors is very important. Like you have your family, thank God for family that is around. But, throughout time, one thing that I am noticing is that, what we get from our family is oftentimes challenged by the influence that come out from the outside, like peer pressure, or if we're in a vulnerable state, it's like anything can come in and try to, influence. So, mentors, or, all of us, whoever it is around us, let's try to love on each other.
Yes.
Because we don't know, again, based on what you said, we don't know who is going through what, especially if this is something that people are born into, leading to self-harm. That means there are a lot of broken people walking around there, even the ones that smile at us, when they're not around us, you know, who knows what's going on. So it's very important. Let's try to be sensitive.
Yeah, and let's know that it's not about knowing exactly what to do. I think a lot of times people don't help or jump in because they're like, oh, self-harm, you know, I don't know what do I do? You know, if I say something, you know, I think ultimately, across the board, all I've ever heard is that people just want to know that they are noticed, that they're not invisible, that they matter, that how they feel matters. Sometimes they don't even want to process their trauma, and they just want to know that they're worth a phone call. You know, they're worth a cup of coffee. You know, they're worth just 20 minutes of your time, you know, to just check in and see how they're doing. You know, it's the way how prior to this quarantine life we're living, you know, when you walk down the streets and we see each other and you see somebody, you know, and it's like, how you doing? Fine. And you just kind of keep passing. Right. You know, if we could just take a pause and say, you know, it's really good to try to drum up conversation, you know, see if you're hearing something that sounds a little, you know, red flaggish, you know, and see if you could just check in. And I think it's important that we just ask the question, is there anything I could do to help? You know, rather than assume we don't know what to do or assume that to do it a particular way. I think the most helpful approach is to say, you know, I'm here for you. I don't know how I could help, but, you know, I could try. If you could just give me a sense of how I could help you, you know, and a lot of that is ultimately give me a hug. Yeah. You know, hand me a tissue. You know, I'm sorry I got a little makeup on your shirt and it's okay, you know, and then if you notice it's a pattern, you know, I don't mind calling, you know, a counselor for you. I don't mind helping you figure out, you know, for people who are dealing with insurance and Medicaid and things like, you know, I don't mind helping you make those phone calls. You know, it's just it's the little things really that go a very long way. Yeah.
The little things. Because I know it was the little things that helped me through some dark times. You know, thank God for the people that, you know, and the amazing thing about it is I was so busy in my own head. I mean, thank God it didn't get to the point where I self-harmed, but only God knows on the inside what I was doing to myself. You know, and I was so caught up in that. And so I'm very grateful for the people that come around me because I know that they reach out to me. You know, sometimes people are so caught up in their own shell, in their, you know, in their own head that they cannot break free enough to reach out for help. Some people can't reach out for help, and that's why it's important to, you know, every now and then check in on someone. Right. 5-minute conversation can do a lot. You know, so,
and it helps us. It helps the mental health professionals. It really, really does. I mean, even if I have a dog, animals are huge supports to people. You know,
I've seen that.
People's creative expression is huge. You know, it's not so much, let's get you in the hospital, let's medicate you. That usually is not the initial approach to it. It's, you know, do you like music? You know, what's your faith? What's your belief? You know, trying to connect people back to, oh, wait, you know, there is a world outside of the way I feel right now, the pain. Yes, there's a way to get through this pain. If I could get back to, you know, what do I enjoy? What haven't I been doing that I want to, you know, whether it's drawing, whether, you know, singing, whatever, you know, going for walks in the park. If it's a favorite bench that a person like, all these things I have written in treatment plans for people. You know, that they're going to go, you know, something like going for, the research says if you go for a 30-minute walk 3 times a week, the likelihood is so significant that you won't self-harm because you are rewiring your brain as to how you handle stress, how you handle pain. Yeah, if you get out and walk and you say, I'm going to resist that urge, I'm going to resist that impulse, and I'm going to choose something life-giving, something healthy, just for 30 minutes. I'm going to test it out, you know, and we respect the fact that this, like I said, is people's belief that these are coping strategies. So for somebody who doesn't engage in this, it's like, oh, that's terrible. How could they do that? You know, but for the individual, it's, this is what I do to feel comfort. This is what I do to feel something. This is what I do
like a distraction.
to distract it. We often refer to it as disassociation.
Right.
You know, depersonalization. They're trying to step out of it. It's like they become just like a shell of themselves.
Right.
So we try to go in there and wake them up and get them to see the beauty that can exist in their life still, whether it be through a little cousin or a kitten or, you know, hearing your favorite Marvin Gaye song. You know, it's just whatever, you know, positive out there, let's use it.
That is, it's just like you said, it's the simple things.
Simple things.
You know, I remember when, now that my mind thinks about this whole coronavirus situation, you know, I can't even imagine like what people are going through right now. You know, I remember in the beginning, like being in the house literally 24/7 with the kids, working and, you know, trying to, you know, again, thinking about things or whatever. Like, I felt like I was going through anxiety, like I was having a panic attack, anxiety attack. I didn't know what was going on with me until a coworker, she told me, go for a walk. At first I'm like, go for a walk. You know, like I don't want, like, I'm here. I don't want to go outside. I can't go, whatever. But I said, you know, it came to a point where I was like, you know what, I'll try anything.
Right.
I stepped out.
Get that desperate sometimes. Yes.
And it helped. It wasn't even about exercise. It was just all because if you think about exercise, if we even go to science about this, what exercise besides the physical, you know, the aesthetic benefits, exercise actually was created to help the body, like all the hormones that are released.
Exactly.
That, you know,
the chemicals.
That ups your mood and all of that.
That's right.
So try it.
Try it. Yeah. And every time you do it, your brain takes a picture. And your brain says, oh, this is another way to deal with my stress. This is another way to deal with my anxiety. This is another, oh, okay, we're trying something new. Okay. But if you do it one time, the brain will quickly forget and resort back to the unharmful
habit with another one. A good habit.
Exactly.
Okay. Wow. Woo. Oh my God. Like this. And like, and it's crazy because in the beginning, I'm glad you're talking about it, because in the beginning it was like, I was like, wow, such a heavy topic. Is it something that, you know, someone gets diagnosed and have to take medication? Is it something that, you know, cannot come out of? And you know, just listening to you, and I'm hoping that, you know, our viewers are also picking up on the fact that, you know, it's serious, but you can do something about it. Like you don't have to stay stuck. Your loved one does not have to stay stuck. Okay. It's as simple as a hello. How are you? You know, talking to that person, finding out what that person loves, you know, connecting with that person.
And if I can add to that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but just you made the point, you know, saying the hello and connecting. And I'm thinking, yes, it is necessary. People do require treatment. People do require medication, and it's nothing wrong with that. They require a combination of treatment, you know, therapy, largely cognitive behavioral therapy, and medication, and nothing wrong with that. But what I had mentioned to you before was that need for attachment, and that hello is an opportunity to create that attachment. And one thing to speak to family members of individuals who self-harm, or people who know of someone. It's not always easy to talk to individuals who are harming themselves, right? And these are largely people who turn inward anyway, to deal with their pain. So they're not necessarily, their cry out is through the cut. Their cry out is through, punching themselves, scratching themselves. That's their outcry. But they're not going to be so open to say, hey, I've experienced this trauma and I don't know what to do with it. They're more than likely going to be confrontational. Leave me alone. Get out my face. Mind your business. This is not your problem. And I want to just encourage people to try not to take it personally.
Patience.
It's just a clearer picture of how much pain and hurt they're in, right? So they just create that wall around them. And if you just keep saying, but hi anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm calling you anyway. I love you anyway. I'm here if and whenever you need me.
That's
you
it.
Just keep that door cracked open. Don't shut the door on people.
Right.
Just across the board. We just should not be shutting doors on relationships, that could be really healthy and positive for us.
And whew, you know what? Your patience.
Patience is huge.
I am praying, for everyone, whether you are experiencing self-harm or your loved one is experiencing self-harm, that everyone, me too, would, develop a sensitivity.
Yeah.
Because even as you're speaking, I'm thinking about relationships that, I had already shut the door. I looked at it as
me too.
a difficult one. Okay. But now talking to you, I'm just wondering, like, wow, could it be that person that there's something deep rooted?
Right.
Could it be that this person crossed paths with me because maybe I can help towards their healing? Who knows?
Right.
So I am just asking that everyone would just develop a sense of, like, the world is broken enough as it is.
Yeah.
Everyone who gains knowledge right now, we gain knowledge about self-harm. We gain knowledge about what to do. The signs to look for. Did we talk about the signs to look for? Can you go back?
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you asked. So they might include, of course we talked about this, just unexplained frequent injury, including the cuts and the burns. Some warning signs might be low self-esteem. The idea that if you hate yourself enough, you can hurt yourself. If you have this hate for yourself, it can escalate to hurting yourself. Relationship problems, or trying to avoid some aspects of a relationship, poor functioning, at work, at school, at home. Largely what you're going to see is it doesn't just happen in one environment.
Okay.
This is when we're treating and assessing, we're thinking about what's the criteria that an individual meets in order to identify it or diagnose them as having self-harm. And you can't just say it happened one time, so this is a self-harm problem that we have. It has to have happened at least 5 times within a year. Okay. So it has to be something that has happened consistently. So again, we're not necessarily jumping to conclusions that this person is self-injurious. We want to assess and see. But what you'll see, if you see poor function in one area, you're largely going to see it in every sphere of their life. Okay. It's not just going to be, I do really, really great here, and then they're usually not able to hold it together, if you will.
Okay.
That sometimes it's It's just a way of kind of, we'll say, let it all hang out. Like it's a way of saying like, but if we're close enough and aware enough and paying enough attention, you'll notice the change, right? Someone who's productive is now not productive, right? Or someone who is highly functional is not functioning, so you want to watch, like if if it was a straight line and you see like that drop, you see those scales and things, and like the spikes or something like that. If you have that relationship with someone, you should know this is, she hasn't been showering lately, or she's never really eating when I'm around her. Self-harm is also, eating disorders.
Gotcha.
Right. So whether it's binging, purging, binging, bulimia, anorexia, those things as well are included largely too. But yeah, you'll see wearing a lot of layers in the heat. They're wearing like long sleeves all the time, trying to cover up bruises or cuts and things like that. So if you notice it's 90 degrees outside and you're with somebody and they're like, well, they have sweats on, boots on, long socks, they have long sleeves, maybe even gloves, a hat, that's a red flag for us. Trying to conceal marks, and largely the language you'll hear is, the cat scratched me, or I fell. That's no big deal. I just fell. Just always trying to minimize it. And I think it's largely minimized because the individual doesn't think that anybody outside of them can handle that, or can contain them, or can hear that and say, let's talk about it. Maybe I can help. Can I call somebody for you? Is there something I can do, like we talked about earlier? So you definitely want to look out for the functionality of the person, and you want to look at how they're dressing and maybe covering up, maybe a lot of, makeup, on one particular area of their skin, just anything to try to conceal. They're always trying to just conceal their heart, their mind, just trying to put that cover up on all the time.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is the end of our broadcast.
Is it possible to just share some resources, or?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, if anyone needs to learn more about this topic or any other topic, please reach out to Ayana at AYANA at growtherapynj.com. Did I get that right, Ayana?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
And she will be happy to answer your questions. We could go on and on, but we have to come to an end right now.
Yeah, this is very brief. A lot of information could not be addressed today, but I think we covered some good stuff, and I'm just, again, happy to be a part of the conversation. And again, I'm available. We have resources, so let's help each other.
So on that note, Ayana, again, thank you, and hoping to have you back again.
I will be back.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nora. Bye.
Bye.